All right, welcome to another edition of the 24th Floor. The world of college football shaking right now. We're talking about coaches getting the boot, backup quarterbacks killing it, and the little dogs beating the big dogs. That sets up today's big idea. Rich, take it away.
Ruben, there are only 30 undefeated teams remaining in college football this season. Yet the Memphis Tigers are unranked. What's up with that? Roll that big idea stinger. The Tigers are 4-0 for just the 7th time in program history after a thrilling 32-31 win over Arkansas at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Memphis racked up 489 total yards, 290 on the ground, but it was the defense that made the difference late. The Tigers forced 3 takeaways, including 2 in the fourth quarter, a Kamari Wilson interception, a clutch sack from Cruz Law, and Chris Bracey's fumble recovery inside the 10 with just over a minute left to seal it. Here's head coach Ryan Silverfield on how good this team is and how strong the American Conference looks.
We understand that every week's going to be a battle. I think it speaks volumes about the American Conference and the opponents that we're going to have to play coming up. We can only take it 1 week at a time, but there's going to be challenges every single week. Everybody's got players, but it speaks, down the end of the road when we talk about the college football playoffs. As you guys know, I don't like to talk about that much. Certainly the winner of this conference will be represented.
All right, he may not want to talk about that much, but I think everybody else is trying to talk about it a little bit. It's fair to say, right? Hey, let's get right to the conversation about it, joined by Mr. Geoff Calkins, who, everybody, if you know anything about Memphis.
This is basically royalty.
This
guy has been covering Memphis sports almost as long as I've been alive.
Well, that's not saying.
Is that true? How old are you?
I'm 29.
No, I've been covering it, longer.
See?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I came in 96.
And I was born in 95.
So it's close.
Yeah,
we're close.
You're close.
Right.
Something else is close and on the top of everybody's mind is Memphis football right now, and how well the Tigers have played, how good they look, and kind of what their chances are of first getting ranked and getting into the college football playoffs. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
I mean, they're essentially the 31st now, if you look at the rankings and count the others receiving votes. Obviously, if they keep winning, they're going to be ranked. Ultimately, other teams ahead of them will lose. The thing is, it was a spectacular win, an unbelievable win, a win that sets the table for everything they can possibly do. Now they have to do it, though. I mean, that's the thing. They've been in this position before. They had the win last year over Florida State. Previous years, they've beaten Mississippi State. Ryan has had big signature wins. What he hasn't yet done is get to the conference championship game or win the conference. And, this team looks like they have the stuff to do it, but they obviously have to do it.
Do you think that getting a win this weekend over Florida Atlantic will help propel them into the rankings? Because it's just, to me, it's ridiculous. That's why I've said on this program, I believe the AP poll is overrated because it doesn't matter really until the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean, the truth of the matter is the AP poll doesn't matter, period.
Yeah,
we all know that.
But you argue with me on this.
Here's how it matters, is that you get a little 25 next to your name, and on ESPN, that you get the games that are ranked become high-profile games, and people pay attention to them. So it matters in terms of just building your reputation. And, I mean, at the end of last year, Memphis promoted, we had a top 25 football program and a top 25 basketball program. So it matters to some people. It doesn't matter in terms of whether you're in the playoffs or not, and whether in the playoff or not. And very clearly, if they keep winning, they will be ranked. And if they keep winning, they will be in the playoff. That's pretty clear. It is interesting. At this point, if they don't lose another game, they will be in the playoff and they will be ranked. And so I don't really care if they're ranked this week or the week after. I don't think honestly a win this weekend is going to get them ranked. Yeah. But in 3 weeks, keep winning, yes, they'll be ranked.
When they officially unveil the college football playoff rankings.
Well, I think so. Here's my take. So they need their opponents to keep winning as well. I would say if I'm Memphis, I need my opponents to have good, solid records so that my wins kind of mean a little more.
Yeah, in the end, you now have sure, it would be nice if Arkansas's got a big game this week against Notre Dame. It would be nice if Arkansas won games or whatever, but what you need is you got South Florida coming to town. You got Tulsa, you've got Tulane coming to town, and you got to win those games, and you can't stumble. And that's the problem. There's not a lot of wiggle room here. You have to be able to get to the conference championship game. You have to win the conference championship game. But you see it right now, and that's what happened this past Saturday. Is now everyone is talking about Memphis as the presumptive leader in the group of 5 who will go to the, but that will last as long as you keep winning. I mean, once upon a time, not long ago, everyone was talking about South Florida.
That's true.
South Florida lost. Everyone was talking about Tulane. Tulane got their butt kicked by Ole Miss. And so it's smoked. So as long as you keep winning, you will be in that conversation, but you can't stumble, and that's the challenge.
Yeah, I was there for that Tulane game, and it was bad. I mean, on this program, I thought Tulane would keep it close, so I said that Tulane would cover the 10-point spread. I don't know if you're a betting guy, but yeah, that was bad. Now, going back to that Arkansas victory, in the lead-up, I said that I think that it was one of Memphis' most important games of the season and probably for the program, because who knows when they'll get a chance to host an SEC team again with all the conference realignment, SEC now going to non-conference games. Even though Arkansas isn't one of the top dogs in the SEC, would you say that still that is going to be a big program victory like for years to come?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It depends. So much depends what happens. Like I said before, Ryan has had massive wins. He had a massive win over UCF early on in his tenure. He had a massive win over Mississippi State and Mike Leach early on in his tenure. He had the massive win against Florida State. What happens then is you don't remember that Florida State win as being as big as it felt at the time, because we know what happened with Florida State and we know what happened with Memphis. Memphis didn't get to. So in the end, honestly, it's a massive win, but how we remember it depends on what happens next. If Arkansas doesn't win another game and does what Florida State did, we'll downgrade it. But more importantly, if Memphis goes and loses 2 conference games, we won't remember that Arkansas game win as something as massive as if Memphis uses this to catapult themselves to a conference championship. Then you'll remember it very differently. So the context of it matters so much. The game itself was great and was a lot of fun, but how we remember it depends on what happens next.
Yeah. So great point, because a loss to somebody you shouldn't lose to will sting a lot more than that win against Arkansas.
No, I had a big argument with John Martin on the radio show about.
We love a big argument.
He was of the view that game was meaningless compared to games against South Florida, games against because in the end, what Ryan has to do is win a title.
Yes.
That's what he hasn't done. And I was like, no. The Arkansas game is still big for the reasons you said.
Yes,
it's an SEC team, and also it creates momentum and excitement for the program. So the way it unfolded, honestly, made it more dramatic. The fact that this Chris Bracey fumble was forced, and I mean, it was, if they had won comfortably by 10, it still would have been memorable. The way it unfolded made it even more memorable.
Let's talk about the way they won. Let's pull up that go-ahead touchdown by Sutton Smith, if we can, producer Jared. Now, I had a walk-in talk with Sutton Smith in the lead-up to the game, and he was always talking about what goes into his head when he has those runs. What I really liked about Sutton is a guy that he's rare in college football. Is I call him a purebred. He's a guy who came straight out of high school from McEachern, not too far from where I've grown up, and he's been with Memphis this whole time, never hit the portal, never thought about it. When you look at a guy like Sutton Smith, now he's getting some Doak Walker love. Do you think that he has a realistic chance to hoist that trophy at the end of the season?
Oh, unlikely that he'll get the Doak Walker, but I just love the story for the reasons you said. I mean, he gets knocked out last year, first game of the year, and all off season long, he's thinking about moments like this. And on that 64-yard run, for a moment, it looked like they had him. You know, first of all, you didn't know if Lewis was going to keep the ball or give it to him. And then it looks like they have him. And he said, I saw a lot of green. I had to, he had to shake off that tackler. And so for him to have a moment like that is, it's fabulous. It feels like it was Fred Smith, it was Sutton Smith, it was just a big day for the Smiths.
Yeah, and it's almost reminiscent of his run against Troy. So it's almost
massive win. And obviously there has been at Memphis this tradition of running backs, whether it's D'Angelo or Darrell Henderson or on and on and on. And
Kenneth Gainwell.
Kenny Gainwell's another one. And so Sutton Smith, I think he's been absolutely terrific. And one of the things that I think you can feel really good about this team is that running attack feels like it's going to be there every week. The offensive line has been really good. You got Rosier back, and he's going to help. And Sutton Smith's been terrific.
So are we in danger here of romanticizing the Arkansas win so much that we forget how important every game is coming up now. Like, I feel like we've talked a lot about, hey, with this big win, big SEC win, but man, it's easy to kind of lose sight of what you have to do right now. And what does Memphis have to do this week to win, to make sure they show up?
I mean, this is not.
It's not a tough test. Don't get me wrong.
This is not their most severe test, but yeah, Memphis has been better at home than they have on the road. I just think that. I think the fact that it feels like that running attack is something you'll be able to depend on, right? They don't want to run Lewis as much as they have, but it feels like that's something you can depend on, right? The offensive line you can depend on, the running quarterback you can depend on, the running backs you can depend on. The defense, I think, is better. You know, I mean, we've seen this team get lit up over the last few years, and so it feels like the defense is better this year. So I don't know. It's here you just lapse into coach speak. But I don't expect that they will overlook Florida Atlantic or whatever. Are they going to beat South Florida? Like, that's an interesting question. Are they going to beat Navy? That's an interesting question. Are they going to be there are games ahead of them that will be, right now they're not the betting favorite to be the representative from the group of five.
Which is crazy.
Right, you know what I mean? So we can be all ahead of ourselves, but the truth of the matter is Las Vegas doesn't think they're going to go to the people writing about it are talking about Memphis, but Las Vegas still says South Florida, has shorter odds, and I think they have Tulane at shorter odds.
That's what Steven said on this program. Steven, he's our Ole Miss guy. He said that he thinks Tulane is going to come out.
So I thought Tulane was kind of exposed against, particularly the line of scrimmage against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
That was interesting to see. Tulane coach gets a lot of credit. They're well coached. But those are the games that I think will define the season. If they were to screw up and lose this weekend, it would really be
a bad loss.
Yeah, I mean, it would take a lot of the steam out of this,
Well, everything starts and ends with the quarterback. And what I really liked how this game against Arkansas, it seemed to be a real showcase for Brendan Lewis, especially when you talk about the storyline with him and Taylor Green that grew up together and the coaching background. What did you really like from Brendan Lewis in that game? And going forward, do you really think that he really elevates this program past than what Seth Hennigan could have did with him?
I don't know. And the reason is, I'll be honest, first half, I'm like, this is not going to work. Like, he's missing wide open dudes. And I mean, he obviously he's a much better runner than Seth Hennigan. You can do a lot of things with him that you couldn't do with Seth Hennigan, and defenses have to adjust to that. In the end, you have to be able to hit open receivers, and he was not. I'm like, there's a hard ceiling here because he's not accurate. He came back in the second half, and he was dramatically better. And so Ryan, talking about it afterwards, said, listen, this is the biggest game he'd ever played in, the biggest home crowd he'd ever played in. And so he attributed that first half to nerves. In the end, he's going to have to hit key throws during the course of the season if they want to go so to me, there's a floor to him, and I like the floor. He's going to be effective as a runner. I'm interested to see how it will evolve, how the passing attack will evolve. He feels like he's got a go-to receiver in Bram, and so
love Bram.
There's a guy. He's the opposite of Sutton Smith. He arrived like 3 days ago, but he's already, he's very clearly playing his ass off, and so, but that is to me one of the. It's not that I don't doubt him, but I'll be interested to see how the passing attack evolves. Is it something that you can count on?
I think to the point you're making is you're just not sure how high the ceiling is yet.
I'm not sure how high the ceiling is yet.
And that's going to be a question because while that game was the biggest home crowd and there's going to be other pressure situations coming up down the line.
He's going to have to hit some, and I don't think. I don't think you're going to get the double passes aren't going to be the.
I'm not going to see that anymore.
Ryan didn't say we wouldn't see it again, but that was an interesting moment. Yeah.
Real quick, producer Jared, pull up that forced fumble for us. I want to talk to you, Geoff, about what have you really liked from the defense. I know coming into the season, all the spotlight was on Whitlow because he was one of the guys coming back. Yeah. But then you got guys like Chris Bracey who forces this fumbles. We talked about Lou earlier. What do you really like from these guys on the defensive unit?
First of all, the last few years, it's been guys running wide open in the secondary. And you had the bust early against Arkansas, right? The tight end gets open, and it was like, what the hell is happening here? How did that happen? But there really wasn't a lot other than that. Like, they were You know, didn't feel like there were a lot of busts. And then on that Bracey fumble, like Bracey, he didn't even start this game. He started early in the season. He was the starter. They rotate their DBs a lot. He's a guy who came over from UAB. But it's interesting because they were, you know, they made the decision. They could have let him score at that point and said, we'll get the ball back and try to score ourselves. They said, no, we're going to trust our defense. And if you look at that,
gutsy call.
it wasn't just luck. I mean, that was he went in there and he punched the damn ball out. Yeah. You know, it was not. You wouldn't want to having to win that way. Yeah. But there was nothing fluky or whatever about it. That was a great defensive play, and you have to figure, as much as like that defense is a whole bunch of new players, except for Whitlow, and so you have to figure that they will be getting better as the season goes on. Obviously, Troy was limited by their quarterback situation, so it's hard to know what to make of that one. But they forced the turnovers against Arkansas, and they made the massive stand at the end.
I just got to say, Ruben.
All right, you got to say something.
If you're an Arkansas fan, I got to be heartbroken. Back-to-back weeks, losing on a fumble.
Yeah.
The fumble at Ole Miss.
That's why Sam
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you're an Arkansas fan, they have the timeout, and you come out of the timeout on that last drive, and you get an illegal substitution penalty.
How does that happen?
Isn't that moment like the moment you're done with Sam Pittman? Like if you can't come out of that, and like that was brutal, absolutely brutal.
So much I know this isn't about the Hawks, but so many people are upset in Arkansas for the way, not just that game, but the game before. Just those winding minutes. Like, all you got to do, run in the middle, take a knee, call timeout, kick. You got one of the best kicking recruits in the country on your team, and you can't trust him for a 30-yard field goal to win it.
And I know Arkansas fans were upset they thought it should have been a offensive pass interference on the play right before touchdown. Yeah. At that point, you still lead by 11 points over a non-Power 4 team. You should win that game. If you're Arkansas, you should win that game.
All right, last thing on this, then we got to take a break. We don't want to discredit the fact that Memphis' defense held one of the most prolific offenses in the country to 3 points.
3 points in the second half. 3 points in the second half.
And Arkansas had been racking up yards and points. So hats off to Memphis defense. Hats off to you, Geoff, as well.
Good to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Good to be here. Thanks.
Absolutely did a great job with all that knowledge, all that information that Rich or myself do not.
We do got to notice, Ruben, in the background that we do have now the Memphis Tiger flag after the big victory. You know what I'm saying?
It's an important
addition. Actually, we'll get an Ole Miss flag if they beat LSU this coming Saturday.
Well, I don't know where you're getting that from. All right, in case you missed it, we were live outside of Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium for the Tigers' big win over Arkansas. Our visual storyteller, Joey Smith, takes us behind the scenes. Check it out.
I set all of this up, organized most of this with the help of this amazing team around me. So it's not just me, it's these amazing people. And at this point, I just get to sit back and watch these two make a live show.
I will agree with you there that I think Memphis wins, but I think it will be a shootout.
The intensity of practice is different. The intensity before the game is different. That pit in your stomach feels a little bit heavier. First one, 20 more to go.
All right, welcome back to the 24th floor. You know what time it is. It's time for us to talk some Ole Miss Rebels football.
That wasn't enough energy, Ruben. I don't think you understand the gravity of this game.
I get it.
In fact,
it's a big game.
Give me my one shot, Jared. Give me my one shot, please. All right, this Saturday, it is one of the biggest games in the Mid-South area. Pits the number 4 ranked team in the nation, the Louisiana State University Tigers, led by a quarterback named Garrett Nussmeier, a man who on this program I said one day would hoist the Heisman Trophy. They come down in Oxford in the vault, taking on the number 13 ranked Ole Miss Rebels, who entering this season, their QB1 was a man named Austin Simmons, a guy who filled in the shoes left vacant by one Jackson Dart. But this Saturday, Mr. Simmons will not be QB1. Instead, QB1 will be a man who shares his first name with a Caribbean country. A man whose flag you will see waving all in the stands, the flag of red and black. You see it down in Oxford on social media. You see it down in the vault. That man's name is Trinidad Chambliss. And Ruben, I must say, if Ole Miss beats LSU this Saturday, what will the conversation be had about Trinidad Chambliss? 6'1", 200 pounds from Division II Ferris State. And speaking of conversations, you can't talk Ole Miss without this man in the conversation. He is the host of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, which you can catch on the 24 Plus app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Welcome to the program, frequent friend, Mr. Stephen Willis.
All right.
And the joke.
That 3-minute introduction there. Let's get to the actual meat of the bones here. First of all, is Trinidad from Trinidad?
No.
He's from Michigan. He's from Michigan.
Still, you see the red and black.
Hey, so fly a Michigan
all
flag.
Over the place.
Fly a Michigan flag is what I'm saying.
No. Have you not been paying attention to social media?
I have.
It's red and black flags everywhere. Trinidad.
Stephen, let's get your take on this. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the potential for quarterback controversy. Now it doesn't seem like it's actual controversy, but more like potential replacement at this point. Does that sound like something that might be going on?
No, I think we're still at the point where it's about to get weird if he shows out against LSU. We're not quite there yet. I think if Austin Simmons was 100% healthy, he would have been starting in this game. But with LSU's defensive line and the mobility that is going to be necessary in this game, Trinidad actually probably provides the best path against this defense. Now, after this game's a bye week, then Washington State, and then is the Georgia Bulldogs. Trinidad Chambliss, if he has a good game against LSU, it gets weird in a hurry because this is likely the best defense he is going to see. So you want controversy? Let Trinidad go out and beat LSU. Then you have a real controversy. And the sad thing is Austin Simmons has done literally nothing wrong. He threw a couple of interceptions against Georgia State and Kentucky, but he got injured. So we need to wait and see what's going to happen next week. But you know, the joke this week and what we're talking about this week is this is an opportunity to send LSU to Trinidad, right? They're going on vacation. The old joke in the NBA, going to Cancun after you get knocked out of the playoffs. Yeah. Send them to Trinidad.
Well, Stephen, I got a couple of numbers I want you to hear out. There's only 4 Ole Miss QBs who have ever thrown 300 plus and rushed for 100 plus yards in the same game. Archie Manning, Chad Kelly, Jordan Teamu, and now Trinidad Chambliss against Tulane. When you hear that stat, what does that say to you about Trinidad Chambliss and his potential?
I think that it says to me that Ole Miss has some elite athletes playing the wide receiver position. We talked about that early on in the year that Ole Miss's wide receiver unit, there was a lot of different skill guys. You know, he's completed passes to like 7 or 8 different wide receivers in both games. That's not something that Jackson Dart did a year ago. That's not something that Austin Simmons did at the beginning of this season. And it comes from the point guard mentality that was put out by the Ferris State head coach whenever the newspaper reporters were interviewing him. He said he discovered Trinidad Chambliss on the basketball court playing point guard, and he wondered if he could translate that over to the football field. And you're seeing that even at the high FBS level, him kind of playing point guard out there and getting all the weapons involved. And there's so many elite weapons that Lane Kiffin has accumulated. Honestly, all you have to do is play point guard.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when you have that many weapons, you're really just, we always tell you your quarterback's job is to get the ball to the playmakers and let them do what they do. One of the things that has really stuck out to me about Chambliss is his efficiency and his accuracy rate. I think he's like 67 or 68% completion percentage at this point in time. And for the first week, I was like, all right, because Rich was all over it. Now it's like, let me see him do it again. After 2 weeks of games, those numbers stay really high. I think if he, like to your point, Stephen, if he plays well this weekend, yeah, it's going to get real weird real fast. But do you think he has that chance to play well, given this will be the toughest defense he'll see?
I think it's going to be imperative on Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss to put Trinidad Chambliss into a position to where he doesn't get too far behind the chains. He's not going to see third and longs. I don't think that's his game. I think his game is it's 1st and 10, and they can kind of do some weird stuff to get 3 or 4 yards, and the next thing you know, it's 3rd and 2, and you can accumulate and develop time of possession in this game. Like in the fourth quarter, it would surprise no one if this was a 17-17 type game. So you don't want to make the critical mistakes. You need to make sure to do what you can, because this is the best defense that he's ever played against in his entire life. He has never seen anything like this. But the opportunity for Ole Miss fans that might be watching this, the opportunity that he has, if Trinidad Chambliss goes out and balls, you can have faith going to Athens. You can have faith going to Norman. All of these tough defenses that are coming down the road, it gets, like we keep saying, it's going to get weird if Trinidad Chambliss pulls this game off.
So, Stephen, I'm looking at all the different side-by-sides for LSU and Ole Miss. I'm looking at basically where they rank scoring offense, pass offense, efficiency, defense. And Ole Miss has the edge in a lot of these categories. But then you look at the line for this game, it's basically even if you're a betting man on the money line. Why do you think people are giving LSU more of a chance to win this game, or why do they think they're calling it so close? Ole Miss, I think, is only a 1.5 favorite. To me, it's just no-brainer that Ole Miss should win this game, especially being at Vaught-Hemingway with the stadium with the home field advantage.
Traditionally, when both teams are good, the home team wins. LSU wins in Tiger Stadium, Ole Miss wins in Oxford. The only time they don't is when they're wrapped up in a probation-type situation, or, Ed Orgeron is the head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels. So, other than that, it's a home team game. But I do think there's a little bit of a stigma of a D2 quarterback going up against a roster that they spent $18 million on in the transfer portal. I think that's the reason it's as tight as it is, because LSU is going to blow somebody out this year. It's going to look like Ole Miss versus Arkansas last year, or Ole Miss versus Georgia even. They're going to show up and it's like, wow, they look fantastic. I think this LSU team, personally, though, they are the image of the 2024 Ole Miss Rebels. They have trouble running the football. They have a fifth-year starting quarterback. They have an elite defense with a lot of players that are going to end up in the league. Ole Miss went 9-3 with that roster and lost double-digit favorites going into the game multiple times last season. LSU is at the point where they can be got, and Ole Miss looks like they have the ability to get them. Honestly, I feel really good about this game, but that's probably the reason for the trepidation whenever it comes to the Vegas lines, is because at one of these games, LSU is going to show up, and there's not really a whole lot you can do about it.
It's funny that we're talking about LSU's defense the way that we are, because last year they kept losing close games. They couldn't close out a game. LSU's defense could. But now we're saying, hey, they're one of the best, with all the money spent in the transfer portal. The transfer portal also doing Ole Miss a lot of favors in getting Trinidad Chambliss. We've talked a lot about the offense for Ole Miss and the defense of LSU. Let's talk a little bit about the defense for Ole Miss and what they've got to do to hold ground against this LSU offense and that quarterback that's got so much experience.
Yeah, it's going to sound counterintuitive, but you have to stop LSU's run game and force Garrett Nussmeier to beat you. And that sounds absolutely weird because he can gunsling. But this is the deal. If they can run the football, right about after then, the tight end is going to get involved. And then the outside receivers are going to get involved. And then that offense becomes basically what Ole Miss saw in 2023, where they're just going up and down the field, and there's not a lot you can do. At the end of the game against LSU last year in Tiger Stadium, it was going up and down the field. You got to take away the run game. You have a running back that's not quite 100%, but this is LSU. There's always going to be dudes that can run the ball at LSU. So you need to stop the run. You need to handle what was going on and play pass defense, which Ole Miss has been pretty good at pass defense. Save the Arkansas game. The other ones haven't thrown the ball very much against Ole Miss, so we'll see how it goes.
So I just have to say, I mean, I'm glad you hit the point about the running game, because Ole Miss their running defense has left a lot to be desired. And what I fear about this game is going to be what I like to call one of those hold on for dear life games, where it's going to be a lot of points scored, and then you're going to be sitting there going, yeah, exactly. The last score wins. I mean, you go back to that Arkansas game. It literally, Arkansas drove down the field, had a perfect opportunity to win, and it was a timely forced fumble. I wouldn't be surprised, Stephen, if that's what it comes down to this Saturday in Vaught-Hemingway.
It wouldn't surprise me if I'm doing my reaction show after the game and just like, what just happened? It would not surprise me at all. It's one of those things that can be exhausting. I remember that 2023 game very clearly, and it was just purely exhausting. And we'll see exactly what that looks like moving forward. But I think Pete Golding's going to be able to put together a pretty good plan, although I guess his last year at Alabama, this offense kind of got him. His first year at Ole Miss, this offense kind of got him. And his second year at Ole Miss, this offense kind of got him. So there are some worries about the matchups against this offense and Pete Golding's defense. But the important thing to me is stopping the run and making LSU one-dimensional. If you do that, Ole Miss is going to win the game going away.
All right, we got to say thanks so much for our expert when it comes to Ole Miss, Mr. Stephen Willis. You can always check him out on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, right? You can catch him at all the places where you do your streaming. And don't forget, that game is a 2:30 kickoff right here on ABC 24. Stephen, thanks so much for your time, brother.
Thanks, guys. Have a good show.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit now. We got to talk about another SEC team. This time we're talking about the Tennessee Vols. They got to hit the road to face one of the most surprising teams in the conference, believe it or not.
Yeah, that team, the dreaded rival of the Ole Miss Rebels. We're talking about the Mississippi State Bulldogs, who remain undefeated this season.
What? They're what?
Much like the Rebs. I know. How about it? Well, our guy from our news partner in Knoxville, Elijah Nixon, breaks down the challenges the Vols face heading into the week against. Start that over. That was bad because I jumped that up.
All right.
My bad. Tongue twister.
In 3, 2. You want me to just go from here, Jared?
Yeah.
In 3, 2. All right, let's switch gears now. We got to talk about another SEC team. This time we're talking about the Tennessee Vols. They got to hit the road. They got to face a team that, believe it or not, is surprising everybody in the conference.
Yes, and that team is the dreaded rival of the Ole Miss Rebels. We're talking about the Mississippi State Bulldogs, who remain undefeated this season, much like the Rebs. So, a little bragging rights. Well, our guy from our news partner in Knoxville, Elijah Nixon, breaks down the challenges the Vols face this week for our Tennessee Take.
Every week brings new challenges for the Vols football team, and this could be especially a tough one as they head to Starkville, when they will find a way to slow down one of the top offenses in the country. The Bulldogs' lowest scoring game was 24 points this year, which came against Arizona State, who was ranked in the top 15 at that time. Aside from that, they scored 30 points or more in their 3 wins. Additionally, Mississippi State managed to score on their opening drive every single game this season. Speaking of getting the ball past the pylon, Mississippi State has a 100% success rate in the red zone this year, and that's a key area that Tennessee struggles. The Vols have allowed 90% of the points scored against them from the red area, so Tennessee knows that this will be a crucial aspect to game plan for.
Big plays happen because you're able to execute, right? That's going and winning out on the perimeter. It's protection up front. It's quarterback being accurate with the football. They got great speed out on the outside. The red zone efficiency, and the quarterback being a part of the run game, the way that they're able to run the football, all of that leads to, that efficiency in that area of the field.
The 15th ranked Vols will have their work cut out for them as they continue SEC play. While they might be favorites going into this game, we all know how unpredictable this conference can be at this time of year. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Elijah. Time for a quick break, and then we're back with the segment you all know and love, 901 Bets. Stay close. What up, and welcome to the 901 Bets. Think of this as sports betting for dummies right here in Memphis. Now, before we get rolling, quick reminder, if gambling has become a problem for you, hit that Tennessee Gambling Hotline, that number right on your screen, 800-889-9789. All right, y'all, let's start with our bankroll basics. Today's term, off the board. So what does that mean? If a sportsbook takes a game off the board, it means you can't place a bet on it, at least for the moment. Why? Usually something unexpected happens. Take Grizzlies basketball. For example, let's say John Morant pops up on the injury report right before tip-off. Odds might disappear until odds maker know if he's actually going to play. Same thing with football. If Tigers quarterback Brendan Lewis tweaks an ankle in practice, that game might go off the board until sportsbooks reset the lines. It can even be weather. Imagine a storm rolling through AutoZone Park before Redbirds games. Books hit pause, pull the odds, and wait until they know if first pitch is even happening. Bottom line, off the board doesn't mean the bet is gone forever. It just means the sportbook needs a little time to recalculate. All right, let's get into today's Bluff City lines. Let's start with the Memphis Tigers. This one's simple for me. After last week's bad beat on the totals against Arkansas, I'm steering clear of that play. Instead, I've got Memphis covering the 13.5 spread at -115, and I'll take the easy layup. Tigers win outright at -600 odds. Now remember, you can ride these picks straight up or parlay them. Your call. But here's why I like it. Memphis is 3-0 as a money line favorite this season. FAU, 0-2 as an underdog. And the Owls have never faced odds this long at +400. Now, against the spread, Memphis is a perfect 4-0 and 2-0 when favored by at least 13.5. Streaks can break, but I don't see it happening on Saturday. Let's head to Oxford for the big one against number 4 LSU. I'm done touching Ole Miss spreads, I must say. I never tend to get those right. Now, instead, I'll take a winner straight up, and I like the Rebels here at even odds. I'm also sprinkling on the total. It's 44.5, and I'm taking the over. Also on even odds. Why? Well, Vaught Hemingway's going to be rocking. And quarterback Trinidad Chambers, he's been the perfect fit for Lane Kiffin's attack. He can sling it, he can take off, he keeps defenses guessing. Ole Miss ranks 10th in the nation in offense, and they've already shown twice in SEC play they can get into those hold-on-for-dear-life shootouts. I see plenty of points in this one. Besides, Lane Kiffin himself tweeted, take the over. Now, if Kiffin says take the over, you take the over. I'm not even going to get into what he was responding to. Let's just focus on ball. All right, let's take a look at how I did on last week's Bluff City lines. I'm not going to lie, it was rough. I was wrong on the Memphis-Arkansas totals, took the under on 62.5 and got bad beat with it being 63. But for Ole Miss, I got the totals right, taking the over on 36.5. That cash, but I was completely wrong on Tulane covering the 10.5 spread because they got smoked. I was 1-2 on the week, bringing my overall record to 6-6, back to 500. Well, at least it's not a losing record. All right, folks, time to get into our bets from Bill. This one comes from my good pal Ryan Hopkins. He's dipping his toes into the Thursday night football game between the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. He's got Seahawks wideout Torrey Horton to score a touchdown and Cardinals running back Trey Benson to go over 55 rushing yards. Now, I must say, I like this play. Seattle's run defense isn't great, and with James Conner injured, Benson is Arizona's clear workhorse. Even when they pass, the Cards still pound the rock, and Benson should get plenty of touches. As for Horton, he ran 76% of routes in Week 3, matching his fellow receivers Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp. He's got 3 touchdowns in 3 games, and offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak even compared him to wideout Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings. Well, to me, that just makes him a strong anytime touchdown threat. So, yeah, Ryan, I agree with you, pal. I'm telling this back. And before we wrap, I want to give a big shout out to Cheap Meat. He sent his winning ticket in to me. And look at this parlay. He had Jackson Merrill, Kyle Schwarber, Aaron Judge, and Kyle Riley all hitting homers in the same night. He used a $50 bonus bet, and it cashed for more than $5,700. You know what they say? Tell him to bring me my money. My guy was proud to show off this one. He said he had a lot of haters, and well, on this program with Ruben, I know what that's like. But look at the odds, though. Plus 11,476 odds. Woo! Good stuff, my guy. Now, I saw where he said he's going to send some of that money to his mom and sister and get his truck fixed. You just love to see that. And as always, send me your takes. If you have a betting terminology you're unsure of, send it my way. Want my opinion on a slip or a ticket you have, send it my way. And man, as we just saw, if you want to spotlight your W, we will give you your flowers on this program because we have fun over here, man. At me on X at RD2Sports. Text the number 901-321-7520 or just use the hashtag ABC24Floor. But in saying all that, remember, folks, producer Jared, bring it up one more time. This content is for entertainment purposes only. ABC24 and its affiliates do not encourage gambling. Viewer discretion is advised. Any betting decisions you make are solely your responsibility. We are not responsible for any financial losses or wins resulting from information presented on this program. Time for a quick break. When we come back, it's the segment you all know and love. Say, what? Are the Titans the worst team in the NFL? What do we think? We'll hear what we got to say when we come back.
All right, here's today's Say What. Are the Titans the worst team in the NFL? Say what? Are they?
You just said that to try to get Memphians going. I don't think they are.
You don't think they are?
No.
You don't think that, who's worse than them?
The New Orleans Saints and the New York Giants. I mean, we're talking about teams that are like winless. So you got the Titans, the Giants, the Saints.
There's other teams.
Who else?
Like,
am I missing?
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 other teams that
have not won.
That have not won in the NFL.
Who?
My thing though, the reason why I say I'm gonna say the Titans are the worst team in the NFL right now because they can't score, they can't move the ball, their offense is abysmal, they can't protect the young quarterback, and it's so bad it's gotten to the point where your head coach now can't even call the plays anymore. That's bad. And there's even talk of potential sales because they can't seem to win a game. That makes them the worst team in the league.
Sales as in?
Selling the team. Somebody else come buy this team. Somebody else come do something.
I was about to say, I thought you meant like selling, like leave Tennessee. That's not right.
No, I'm just saying at this point it's gotten that bad. They're worst team in the league.
So I looked up the other teams that are winless. It's the Dolphins and the Jets.
Yes.
And you think the Titans are worse than the Dolphins? Have you seen the Dolphins?
Yes. I think that. Have you seen the Titans?
Yes. I mean, they have a young quarterback in Cam Ward, but
that doesn't mean they're not the worst.
The Saints are horrific, Ruben. The Saints don't even have their quarterback of the future.
So
who's the Saints quarterback?
Here's a question for you. We're not talking about the future. We're talking about right now.
Okay.
Who cares if you got your quarterback of the future if you can't win right now?
Right now.
The NFL is based on wins. Win? Right now.
So right now, who is the New Orleans Saints quarterback? Can you name him?
It's irrelevant. What you're asking me. What you're asking me. Are you talking about Spencer Rattler?
Okay.
What you're asking me is irrelevant because what I'm saying is you're saying Tennessee is not the worst team because they have a quarterback of the future, and I'm saying a quarterback of the future has nothing to do with winning. Let's all say it together. Right now.
But it's several teams that are winless, and I'm saying out of the group of teams that are winless, the Titans aren't the worst because I've seen worse when the New Orleans Saints take the football field.
You're saying
when the Miami Dolphins take the football field.
The Titans' offense is better than those two teams' offense.
They're definitely better than the Saints.
You think they're better than the Dolphins' offense?
No.
Okay, they're not. You think
But
the Titans' defense is better than those?
Yes.
I think they're word.
I mean, the Giants are also bad too.
The Giants are.
Hold on. This
1A, 1B.
Do you think Jackson Dart makes a difference?
Yeah, I do. I like Jackson
Ole Miss
Dart.
quarterback Jackson Dart in his first start. Is he gonna make a difference?
Jackson Dart makes a difference for the Giants because he's so energetic and he's got that young energy and he's just got that it factor that people.
So
follow.
out of the three teams, who gets their win first? The Titans, the Saints, or the Dolphins?
Saints. All right, it's time to go. And I don't even know what I'm losing. I just know it ain't going to be the Titans. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of the 24th Floor. Shout out to everybody who made it possible.
Especially our guy, Jared Robinson and Brooklyn High for their work behind the scenes, putting the show together. The Saints are horrible, by the way. Big shout out to our guy, Stephen Willis, our guy, Geoff Calkins. Thank you for coming on the show. We loved having you for the first time. Ruben, take it away.
All right, everybody have a great day, and I'm sure any of us will score a touchdown before the Titans do in the very near future. We'll see you on the other side.
Dog, Titans aren't as bad as the Saints.